Always, there's infections, and whether it's viruses, multiple, usually at the same time, living in people's different parts of the body. There's bacteria that get into our body that exist, whether it's from an old strep throat and somebody took an antibiotic to get rid of the strep throat symptom, but the strep never really disappeared and it spread to the stomach or it spread to the spinal cord or it spread to a kidney, for example, and it's going to cause persistent pain for decades until it's found and eradicated from the spinal cord or the kidney and get rid of the pain. There's molds that get into the body and they destroy human tissue and they will make people live in pain, suffering terribly with joint pain, with muscle pain, with head pain, with fatigue, with back pain, with bone pain. There's toxins that come from molds, mycotoxins.
Mm-hmm.
There are fungal infections and parasitic infections. And then again, there's many different toxins from the viewpoint of heavy metals that get into the body through drinking water, through vaccines, through possibly through just being born from a toxic. Unfortunately, humans are just innocent on the planet. A lot of humans are, not all, but there are, the mother might have been just a very nice, beautiful person who just absorbed pesticides and absorbed insecticide and absorbed weed killer spray and absorbed mercury and absorbed heavy metals and absorbed dental anesthesias and other chemicals and antibiotics. And now when she produces her newborn, the chemicals and any infection in her, for that matter, can just travel right through the umbilical cord into this new growing baby inside. The baby's already born toxic.
Mm.
So it's infections of many kinds. It's toxins of many kinds. There's activated mast cells, and so those can be activated. I did I think a pretty good video on this. It's on my YouTube channel, Mast Cell Activation Syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
where these cells that are friendly to the body, they become activated and release certain inflammatory substances into tissues in the brain and the thyroid and the stomach and the heart and the blood vessels, anywhere in the kidneys. And they become activated because of emotional traumas, physical traumas, and through infections and other toxins that have entered the system. So there's that viewpoint. And then furthermore, there's other, like cytokines or other inflammatory parts of the immune system, which are triggered by these other infections and chemicals and traumas, emotionally and physical traumas, is that these different inflammatory substances, they exist in the blood, and they are, when the blood goes to the glands in the face, especially where the saliva is made, the saliva is going to be produced with whatever in the blood. The blood is, let's say it's carrying influenza virus, it's carrying mercury, it's carrying activated mast cells, it's carrying different types of cytokines, it's carrying herpes, it's carrying mold in the blood, it's carrying a bacteria. When the blood goes to the gland in the face, here in the cheeks and underneath the tongue, it's going to make the saliva with those different infections and chemicals. So when we look at it from the viewpoint of the saliva is also a toxic infected substance that we are swallowing. And just like when we swallow water to hydrate our body, the water goes to the skin, the water goes to the bones, the water goes to the brain and the spinal cord, the water goes to your spinal fluid, the water goes to your organs, your muscles, your glands, your blood vessels, your lymphatic system, every part of your body, your eyes, right? Every part of your body needs water to remain hydrated, to stay alive. When we swallow that water and the water eventually gets in the bloodstream and the blood carries that water over to different parts of the brain and the body, we are also swallowing saliva. So when the saliva is carrying different germs and chemicals and cytokines and activated mast cells and possibly negative emotions, I'll elaborate on that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
When the saliva is carried just where the water goes, which is every other part of your body, including your skin, your eyes, your brain, you're everywhere, the saliva is going to be, again, carrying all these different germs and toxins and inflammatory substances. And that saliva is going to be deposited into the same tissue where the water is to hydrate those tissues. So let's take it even to the point of view of what Dr. Emoto, Dr. Emoto
Mm-hmm.
with the water, with the
Yep.
emotion, right? Love,
Yep.
hate, and all that evil in the water. Every single cell in the human body is made up of water. A large, let's call it 80%, 85%. Your saliva is deposited there as well. So remember, I'm going to keep harping on that because the saliva carries different germs and chemicals and infections deposited into, let's say, the thyroid. It's deposited into the frontal lobe of the brain. It's deposited into the amygdala, the fear, panic, anxiety part of the brain. It's deposited into your liver. It's deposited into your lymph. And so and then the negative emotion, the imprint of people talking negatively to themselves. Oh, it's always my fault. Oh, it's always I'm always doing the wrong thing, or I'm never going to make it in life, or I'm never going to be good at that, or I'm never going to get this, or why can't I reach my goal? And so when they're always the negative talk to themselves, and that's pretty common, negative talk imprints the negative into the water and the saliva as well, which is water
Hmm.
based, right? So when we're imprinting the negative emotion into that fluid, and that fluid is deposited into the bone, into the brain, into the thyroid, into your kidney, into your stomach, into your heart valves, that's another level of imprinting the negative energy into the tissue, causes disease in the body. So when we can, using the saliva, by the way, when we can find where that went in the brain and the body, when we can get rid of these negative emotions, get rid of all these things, the infections and chemicals, the whole disease. I mean, I've seen heart disease disappear. I've seen eczema for a lifetime of a person disappear. I've seen asthma disappear. I've seen headaches disappear. I've seen people with one woman you could see on my YouTube channel. She had paralyzed legs for 5 years with multiple sclerosis, 33 lesions in her brain. She's able to move her legs again. I've seen people with incontinence, urinary bladder incontinence, stop with this work. Bladder pain, stop with this work. Fibromyalgia pain, stop with this work. And the list goes on. It's a thrill. So yeah, that's the sum of it.